over me. She comes with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. And welcome everybody to the Paranormal Portal Bedtime Stories from Beyond. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. Sorry for the little late start. I just got a little under the weather minion right now, so he's just dealing with a bug. So it just caused everything to get pushed back a little bit in my world. So hope you guys don't mind, and thanks for being patient and waiting and coming in when I came on. So I appreciate it, but only 4 minutes behind, really, I think, 4 or 5 minutes. So hope that was all right, but thank you all for being here. This is the Paranormal Portal Bedtime Stories from Beyond, and I am Brent Thomas, your host. You're stuck with me now until the duration of the trip, should you choose to stay. I hope to keep you entertained, of course, and as always, the phone lines will be open. You can call in and be a part of the show if you have a paranormal incident or occurrence of your very own that you'd like to share. Please feel free to do so by calling 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. So would love to see you. If you want to call in and be a part of it, that's great. But I hope you guys are ready, because it's time for bed. Oh, thank you, Philip. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm sure he will. I mean, they all catch this stuff. It's all just part of their little journeys as their bodies grow. So not much you can do, I don't think. But yeah, we'll just keep an eye on it. I'm sure it's nothing. It's just one of those bugs he picked up along his journeys in life. So, but thank you. I appreciate that compassion. That means a lot. So, thought we'd take a light road tonight. A lot of the bedtime stories have been, they're kind of creepy and dark and, weird, spooky, but I thought it'd be fun to do a lighter one tonight. And I had some stories that I wanted to cover regarding angels. And I think this is probably a topic that probably doesn't come up enough in the paranormal, but I think it's very possible that some of the benevolent paranormal experiences people have could very well be angelic, or some of the angelic experiences people have just could be benevolent paranormal entity. It doesn't always have to be one or the other. I think the term angel just implies some benevolent intercession or interference, by a force of good. I don't know that always everybody that experienced something positive paranormally, they don't always see these winged beings. In fact, that sighting is actually very rare to see a winged being. Now, could it be that these paranormal angelic beings, these divine beings, can appear how they want? Yeah, I believe they probably can. But I think it could very well just be, somebody trying to help out. They're on the other side, or they've at least passed through their body phase and are, at least they're here, probably transitioned to some degree, but they choose to still interact in some way, and maybe they do. Maybe they try to be a force of good. Maybe it's to offset some really crap that they did during their lives because they're afraid of a judgment. Who knows? I mean, I'm just speculating wildly, but it's not always these halos and wings and harps. In fact, that's very rarely what people experience in encounters that they believe are angelic. And I shared a story of my own last night after Wes had talked about some weird thing that he encountered, which I thought was really an incredible experience. And I didn't see wings or halos or anything like that either. So just very curious. Just strange things that happen. But I think they make me feel good. And I think that with all the chaos that's going on in our world right now, that perhaps we could all feel a little bit better. So I thought it'd be a good night for doing a bedtime story about angelic encounters. Oh man, am I going to pinch that wire? Or am I? Yeah, I did. Oh, it's okay though. All right, cool. So I hope you guys are okay with that choice. It's a topic that I think is amazing and a lot of fun to talk about. So let's get into some of those and we'll see how far it ends up taking us. Most of these are actually incredibly short encounters, but it doesn't mean that they have to be long and wordy in order to be powerful. But let's see what comes up in the rest of my list here. That's a carryover from last night. So this said, my son called me because he wanted to die. But after trying to convince him that I should fly there to help with the children, he hung up. My 7-year-old grandson called me crying and said, "Please, Grandma, please come." Well, I called the airlines and had to be at the airport for the last 9 p.m. commuter plane, and the terminal was under construction, so it was left at a shuttle site in the parking lot in the pouring rain, and it was about 8:45 p.m. and I had never used this airport, so I was terrified and began crying. A woman appeared from the black of night and said, "Why are you crying?" Well, I replied, "I don't know where to board the plane." She asked me my flight information and then said, "Don't worry, I'll get you there." Then the shuttle showed up. She got me to the terminal and I was the last to board. And I stayed up all night with my son, and then I called suicide line at 4 a.m., convincing him to talk with a psychiatrist. A friend came by and we went to talk with him and came out with a loaded gun and sleeping pills that he had talked him into giving them up. An angel saved him. So yeah, if the mom wasn't there, what would have happened? It sounds like he was pretty set on doing it. But yeah, that's such a sad thing. And every time suicide comes up, or at least a lot of times, I like to just take a minute and just say, I hope if any of you out there are hurting like this, just like that, and you just don't feel like you can stand up because everything just keeps knocking you down, just find someone to talk to. Find someone you can talk to about it, and reach out to some of those hotlines. They are in business to help. Don't give up, and please try to find someone that'll at least hear what you have to say, because sometimes just talking can mean the world of difference for someone that's in that kind of pain. And I know sometimes it might not seem like people are there for you, but in a situation like that, I think most everyone would be there for you. So just give people a chance to help you, because that's the kind of tragedy that it just creates holes in life, and creates holes in the good parts of life, and those holes never get filled. They never heal. So I know it doesn't seem like it when people are hurting. It seems like those pains are just as big as life, that they're just so big, and the pain is so profound. But I don't know if it's good or not. But I like this saying that I ran into once, and believe me, ladies and gentlemen, I think we all get somewhere near that point at different parts of our lives. I mean, I've been crushed under the weight of my life several times and felt like there was no way to stand up, because every time I tried, it just felt like I kept getting knocked down. Something would come and hit me again and hit me and hit me, and I just got tired of climbing off the ground. But I saw this saying, and it really hit home for me. And what the saying was is that we are unlimited cosmic divine beings having a very temporary human experience. And it kind of puts it in perspective. It did for me. And it was those words that kind of helped me to go, well, how big is this really? How big is it really? And it really helped me to see through a lot of that pain and to find a way to keep fighting. And so, Here I am, and I'm not done fighting. I mean, life still is tough for everybody, including me. But at least you get to a point where you work through some of that pain and you work through some of that heavy stuff, and you can carry it just a little bit farther, and maybe you meet people that'll help you carry it, and then you can make it. So just don't give up. And maybe somebody needs to hear that right now. I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm saying it. I don't know. But I just think that that's such a painful place to be in. But there's always help. So moving along. This one is at 18. I was in a car wreck. Out of nowhere, a lady in white clothes, like a nurse, appeared. She held a towel to my head, stopping my severe bleeding as the fire trucks were coming, and she said, "You'll be fine now." I looked away, and when I looked back, she was gone. I asked the fireman where was the lady, and he said, "What lady?" And I pointed to where she had come from, and he said she could not have come from that area. That was a 500-foot cliff to the Pacific Ocean. She had said to me, "I heard the accident and was at the beach and came to help you." All my friends saw her 30 years later. A blonde lady walked over to me and said, "You're going to be okay. Everything will be fine." And she walked away, and I turned around and realized it's her again, my guardian angel. Wow. Huh. They saw her 30 years later. He was with a group of friends, and that same woman came up to him and said, "You're going to be fine." So that's pretty amazing. Wow. I love those stories like that. I'm not sure of is how come that doesn't happen more. And I'm not discounting the fact that it happens. I really believe it does. I just don't know why doesn't it happen more? Why don't more people have that kind of intervention? Because I think the ramifications of those kind of interventions are huge. They leave a footprint in your life, and you always, after that point, you feel like you're not alone. There's somebody paying attention that's, maybe not within your vision or within your hearing, but they're there. And maybe they'll leap out when you need them most and be there for you. So sometimes I've heard of angelic encounters where people have not known that their angel was there, but that other people perceived these protective beings around somebody that was in a bad place. And I don't remember the details of the story well enough to try to repeat it now, but it was the story in particular that I'm referring to was talking about a guy who was walking over through this really bad part of town. I think his car broke down or something, and he had to walk through this really bad area. And things are going wrong all the time. People stabbed, robbed, murdered, etc. And this guy's just terrified. But he has to walk through there, and he walks through there, and he notices everyone's keeping their distance, and nobody's giving him any trouble, and he just walks right on through like, as if he was just in a park somewhere. And he couldn't figure out why, and somehow, and I don't remember how, but one of the guys that was in that area recalled seeing that man and said, but who were those two big mean dudes that were walking right along next to you? And the guy said, I was alone. So sometimes they're there and we don't even know they're there. And I think that's really cool too, but I think it'd be cooler to know they're there, but at least they're showing up. So, let's see. Okay, so I read that one. Okay. Here we go. My mom passed away in June of 2011. About a month after her death, I was crying a lot. And one night, I felt a touch on my arm coming from directly above me. And I realized it was my mom, and I felt so comforted. It was the same exact touch I wanted to give her to say goodbye in the coffin, but I just couldn't. Well, that's sweet, and that's beautiful. Now, that raises the question, can our loved ones become our angels? And I think they can. Now, some people will say, well, angels are these specifically created or these specific beings that aren't the same as us. But I think that the term angel can mean a lot of different things. Perhaps there are these different spiritual entities out there that are incredibly powerful and benevolent. But I think that the term angel implies someone being helpful and someone going above and beyond for somebody. And perhaps it can even be our deceased loved ones who show up and offer us comfort or give us some kind of help. So, oh, little man, I can hear him whining out there. Hold on, guys. I'm going to go check this. He's got such a headache. Poor guy. Just a sec. I'll be right back.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, ripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me as their lies keep falling apart.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for allowing me to step away. Just had to get him some Tylenol, get his fever down. Just a warm little achy boy. Unfortunately, it's just tough on little kids. They just don't understand, you know? So he's awake for now. But anyway, all right. So I'm going to continue on here. Let's see what's going next here. That was the mom. Okay, the next one is I had an experience where I felt something touching my head in a strange but safe, soft manner. I knew I received a blessing because I was coming from church that day. From time to time, I also see this little orb, and for some reason, I just have a feeling it's my angel, and whenever I see it, I smile and say, Amen. Well, that's pretty. That's nice. So, next one is, it was May 11th, sorry, my head's in two places. You'll have to forgive me. I'm going to screw up some stories tonight. Just thinking about too many things. It was May 2011, and I wasn't feeling real well. Everything seemed to be falling apart. I spent a lot of time on Facebook and the internet, and I felt I was challenged by evil spirits. I was feeling like I was dead most of the time, and I would see my spirit get out of my body, and I wondered if my dad would come in a spirit form to bring my soul back to my body. One night I was coming from my workplace at midnight in a risky place. I prayed that night, and I saw a light from above, and I collapsed. Then my hands were lifted up by that light, and then the light danced with me. And ever since then, I'm always happy. Now, that's a beautiful story. I don't understand the whole idea this person seems to have and I can't know that I'm right or wrong, but in my opinion, we are our soul. That's who we are. That's what we are. The term soul sounds like something we keep in our pocket, and then at the end of it, we cash it in for, eternity or something. And that's not it at all. I think the soul is in my opinion, and not that that's really important, I guess, but just in my opinion, the soul it's our divine light. It's what makes us alive. It's what animates this, this meat puppet that we're in. And it's not like your soul just gets sucked out of your body. I don't know. I don't understand that. Maybe it is possible. Maybe I just don't understand. But it just seems foreign to me. And when I consider my soul, that's me. That's what I am. I don't consider myself a body. I consider myself the light in the body. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but this person's talking like it's a wallet that he lost somewhere, and I don't know. Maybe that's a cultural thing. I don't know, or a religious thing. I don't know, but just my 2 cents, whatever that means. So, let's see. Next one is, my non-Catholic friend went to Christmas Mass with me and my family, and he said that he saw the angel Michael, Uriel, as well as St. Lucy, St. Anthony of Padua, and Mary of Magdalene. Well, I was uplifted and felt that I was given a gift of having this shared with me. That's fantastic. Now, I don't know how people at a glance can identify, well, that's Michael, that's Uriel, and that's, whoever, Gabriel, Raphael, whoever. I don't know how you could know that by just a glance. Do they wear name tags? And I'm not meaning to be cheeky. I'm really not. But it's like, how do they know? I mean, it's like like saying, hey, that guy over there, that's Pete from Boston. Well, how do I know that? I don't know. Or is there a spiritual recognition? Maybe there is. Where when you perceive these angels, you maybe have an idea in your head of what one that is. I don't know. That's very peculiar, but it's a beautiful thought that somebody saw all of those wonderful beings. But I don't know how that works. That's the questioning part of me. It's like, well, I don't know. Very strange. Okay, so continuing on, I know I needed healing. I wanted help with my emotions, and I felt that I needed them to flow instead of wearing a protective mask or being like a statue. I asked an angel connected with Mount Shasta to help with these blocked emotions, and within 5 minutes, I had tears of gratitude for a dear friend who brought me to this healing meditation. I cried every morning of the long weekend and released many uncried tears from old pain. I allowed this healing release to bring a new journey to me, and it felt odd not to be embarrassed by my emotional state of releasing. It felt so good to just let it go. I was so grateful and realized that angels are always here for us, and if we ask for their help, what a gift. I had never felt such love and such freedom and such connection after this retreat. Well, good for you. That's amazing. There are sacred places. Every country has them where the people that live there regard an area as sacred for some reason or another, and it makes sense to me. Is that have more to do with ley lines, or is there an actual presence to some places? And I think maybe there is. Maybe some of these old mythologies had it right, that there are specific spirits or beings that are delegated to different areas, and these really sacred spaces are maybe where they are most of the time. And perhaps it's possible to appeal to them or to reach out to them and connect with them. I don't know. But what a cool idea, and wonderful for that person. That's great they had such a healing experience. All right, so that was like a throat gurgle, but sounded like a burp. Sorry about that. It was not a burp though. This is a prediction. I totally believe in my angel. One night on November 2nd, or 12th rather, I was praying to my angel to connect with me in my dream, and as usual, I was woken by the male voice, and the only thing I remember was him saying, "Earthquake between 4 and 5." I was confused by his words, and it is meant that 4 and 5, 4 to 5 was the time, or the Richter scale. To my surprise, on November 14th, my husband called me around 2 p.m. and asked me if I'd felt the shake that morning at around 5 a.m., and that it was a 5 on the Richter scale. Wow. There you have it. So, premonitions. That's pretty cool. The next one we got is, since I was a young kid, I've never had any doubt that my guardian angels protect me whenever I need protection. That's how I've lived and prayed through many encounters of divine protection and safekeeping. Today, I'm a semi-retired veterinarian belonging to our local guardian angels group, and I developed type 1 diabetes in 1967, and now I have a lot of faith that Jesus, with all of his love, will always carry me until he needs me at the next level. Bless you all with God's grace and all overpowering love. Well, that's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Can faith save you? For sure it can. Faith healing happens all the time. I think there's also a lot of charlatans that take advantage of that and make it theater rather than an actual healing. But I think there are really amazing healings going on that are just spontaneous healings that are faith-based, or the belief of the person that they are encountering some divine presence that is taking it away. And they could very well be encountering a divine presence that's taking it away. I think everything is possible. So, and that's really encouraging. Again, how come not all the time? Well, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why one person and not another. I don't know. I know there's plenty of people that are hurting that have reached out for some help and they're not getting it, but maybe they're not seeing it either. There's an old story that I like, and I'm going to butcher the hell out of this one too, but I'll paraphrase it for you guys. And it was there was a man drowning in the ocean, and he'd fallen off his boat, had sunk, and he was sitting there adrift and fighting to stay above by grabbing onto stuff, and a fishing boat comes up and says, hey, are you okay? Guy's like, yeah, I'm okay. God's going to come save me. And the boat's like, come on, you can just get in. We'll save you right now. Nope, God's coming. I'll be okay. And so they're like, you sure? And the guy's like, yeah, I'm fine. God's coming. I know he is. So the fishing boat leaves, and the guy's still having trouble, and it's getting harder and harder to stay up. And next thing you know is a ship comes along, a big cruise liner, and stops this huge ship, and they're calling down on the boom, hey, man overboard, let's get you up here. And he's like, no, don't worry about it. God's coming to get me. I'm going to be fine. They're like, get on the ship. No, I can't. God said he's coming. I know he's coming. He promised me. And the guy's like, okay. So they take off with their cruise ship. Next thing you know, a helicopter from the Coast Guard comes over and says, lowering their boom and try to, come on, climb in. We'll get you out of here. Guy's like, nope, I'm going to be fine. God's coming to get me. And they tried, and he wouldn't accept the help because God was going to come. And then the helicopter takes off, and after a while, the man finally sinks below the surface and passes away. And he's up there, and he goes to heaven. And he's like, God, what happened? You said you would come and get me if I ever needed you, and I was drowning, and you didn't come and get me. And God leans forward and goes, look, I sent you a fishing boat. I sent you a ship. I sent you a helicopter. So I think sometimes people expect things are going to arrive the way they want them to. And perhaps a lot of times people are missing the things that are given to help. So sometimes we have to open our eyes, maybe. I like that story, though. I don't know. Maybe it's cheeky. Maybe it's cheesy, but I don't know. So anyway, let's continue on. I'm just looking at the chat. What's going on? What is going on? We got 42 people here. That's what's going on. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Again, I'm sorry. My minion is sick today, so I'm kind of, my mind is half here and half out there with him. So, but anyway, we'll continue on. I have several angels and see each of them in different ways. My father is rainbows, and my grandma is butterflies. And there are orbs in pictures, and I know I know where they are when I photograph them. And they are red and often in shapes of angels, and I've been told I have 5. One day I took my very sick dog that's the name of the dog. My sick dog was named Who to the vet. Okay. I felt that was Abbott and Costello starting there. We were at the stoplight, and Who was on my lap getting hugs and love because one day the day had been tough on my dog. Our light turned green, and I began to accelerate, and Who coughed and lost breath. I immediately stopped and looked down at him in fear that I'd have to send him back to the vet in seconds. Well, a truck sped through the red light with lightning speed, rocking my SUV. That would have been the end of us. My mouth was wide open, and I gasped, huh? Who looked up at me, although he's blind, and said, wow. and I said, wow, who you saved my life with your little cough. He laid his face on my arm as just to thank me for saving his, and is now one of my angels near my heart and at my feet right now. Well, that's beautiful. Yeah, it's like, could a dog coughing be divine intervention? Sure. Again, they show up how they show up. I don't know. That one's different. But if the dog hadn't coughed, that person would have went right ahead, and that truck would have blown right through him. So, all right. So we were in the jungle in the Tajai Devi near Pune in India. We knew we were lost. Both of us had almost decided that we might have to spend the rest of the night out in the jungle. But suddenly, from somewhere, a man appeared. His looks were serene in spite of meeting him at that time of day in a jungle. And we did not get scared of him at all. He looked so peaceful, and there was such serenity on his face, and we followed him. Me and my friend both knew that he is either an angel or a man sent by an angel to help us. One of the signs that you have had an angel encounter is if another person with you feels the same way. And my friend certainly did. We are so sure that we will never meet or see that man again. And I'm sure he wasn't a common man because nobody comes for a walk in that area at 7:30 p.m. when it's getting pitch dark, and he knew the road, which nobody else would know. That's a beautiful story too. Yeah. All right, next one. When I was taking pictures in my backyard 1.5 years ago, I looked to see how the photos appeared. I found that a great, awesome cloud came down my alley, and 3 UFO shaped like pyramids were in my backyard. 3 men wearing silver suits and silver cone-shaped hats advanced from the UFO towards me. The one closest to me, at about 8 feet tall, had a great smile and reached out as if he was going to hug me. He looked as common as any other man except for his silver suit. Well, I was overwhelmed with excitement and surprise, being new to photography. The photos were lost when I was downloading them to the computer. Oh, that's too bad. The messenger said that the space in the memory card was used up, so that I could not transfer photos to it. This is extremely frustrating. Nevertheless, the experience shows up another encounter with the kingdom of God in various versions. You know, I don't mean to jump onto different things and say, oh, I've had something like that happen, but it's only true. If I share it with you, you know it's true that I really have experienced something like that. It's really bizarre when that happens. I took a trip over to Indonesia years ago, and essentially at that time, but really pretty much nobody spoke anything but Indonesian or several dialects of Indonesian, as there's several dialects in that country. But English wasn't a real priority in Indonesia for the common people. And I'm in this area and I'm feeling really uncomfortable. And it was not a whole long after, just a few years after 9/11. And, there was that whole sentiment of Americans and stuff. But I did it anyway. I went over there and I was feeling really uncomfortable. And I felt like everybody was looking at me in this area. I felt really, really uncomfortable. And out of nowhere came this old guy. And he had, honest to God, he had like 3 teeth in his mouth. And I couldn't figure out where they were attached, whether they were attached on the top jaw or the bottom jaw. They just, honest to God, they seemed to like float in the middle there somewhere as he talked. And I kept looking, trying to figure it out. And I couldn't. But he was the nicest man. His name was Jimmy. He was named after our president, Jimmy Carter, and started talking and talking and talking. Now, my wife was with me, and she was like, couldn't believe it that this old guy could speak Indonesian. She's Indonesian. And she said that none of the older generation know English, but he worked in the area. In fact, he worked in one of the mosques there, and he was like, you should come in. And that was the last place I wanted to go because I already felt really uncomfortable, but I was like, I'm not sure if that's a good idea. He goes, no, you come on in. And I said that we might, but I never committed to it. But I asked him if I could take his picture. And it's funny because as soon as he showed up, I felt fine and everybody around me seemed to be fine. It didn't feel like I was the center of attention. Well, I took 3 photos of him. And I took thousands of photos on this journey over there. And all thousands of the photos were fine except for 3 photos. And those 3 photos were the 3 photos of Jimmy. And the memory card was corrupted for those 3 photos only. Every one of the other thousands of pictures turned out absolutely fine. So made me think, was that a divine intervention? Was maybe there's some hostility towards me and he showed up at the right time? I know I didn't feel good. I didn't feel good at all. I wanted to go back to the hotel in a bad way. But he showed up and it was like everything just melted away and it felt normal and felt peaceful. So, true story. I can't say for sure that it was paranormal, but I can tell you that it happened. I can tell you that of the thousands of photos that I took, the only 3 that didn't come out were those 3 photos of Jimmy. But I can still picture him in my mind with those teeth that were somewhere in his mouth, but I don't know where. They showed up when he talked, but I just didn't know where they were hooked up. It was really, really funny guy though, really cute. But he spoke English very fluently, even better than my wife. So very crazy, but cool true story. Just throwing it out there. Either you believe it's paranormal or you don't, and maybe it isn't. I don't know, but it was really a weird experience. So the next one, I have a daughter who's permanently disabled, and she had open heart surgery. Oh, poor darling. When she was only 3 months old. We were told that she was being prepared for surgery, that we shouldn't do it, and that her prognosis really wasn't that good. They said that they would make her as comfortable as possible until she passed. Obviously, we didn't do that, and now she is simply amazing. Since the surgery, we have been stopped 4 times in the last year, all by different people who have said that they see angels all around her, and I 100% believe it. God gave me my daughter and for a reason, and I'm grateful for the angels who always take care of her. I just thought about thought that after 4 different people, I don't know, have come up to me and my wife stating that there are angels all around my daughter and that they must be onto something. God is amazing. That's really cool. That is really cool. That would be a heartbreaker. Yeah, the minion sounded better. Good. Whew. All right. Yesterday I just asked no one really, please just give me a sign on what to do. I want to relocate from Ireland to Spain, but was not sure if I should go or for it or not. The next day I was looking through one of my many handbags and I put my hand in to grab some coins out of it, and suddenly I found myself with a silver ring in my hand with the coin stuck in the middle of the ring. The story behind this is that the ring is very important to me. I got it from a boy on my first holiday in Spain when I fell in love with the country, and I thought I had lost the ring forever. I had searched everywhere, but I couldn't find it. The coin in the middle of the ring had an Irish harp on it. So the question remains, it's Spain or Ireland? Although I am confused, I still believe that this is my personal sign to change my life. Yeah, that would be kind of an ambiguous sign. It's got the ring from someone that you fell in love with the country, and then it's also got an Irish coin in there. So do you stay or go? That's an ambiguous sign right there. I'd be asking for another clarification. Let's see, what's this next one? At the age of 15 years old, I was riding my four-wheeler, and I tried to climb a hill with my four-wheeler by myself. Risky since no one was there, and if I had wrecked it. As I got to the top of the hill, my front tire came up on a rock in the trail, and my four-wheeler began to flip back, and I already felt the point of feeling helpless at gaining control of the front end as it was pointing towards the sky. At that point, I knew I was in trouble, and then in that instance, I felt a hand catch me and push me forward with so much force, I thought I was going to go over the front of the four-wheeler as it hit the ground, and from that day forward, I vowed to never try to climb that hill again. I'm now 28 years old and a preacher for the Lord. Thank God for that unseen hand that watches over us each day. Well, that's a beautiful story. I don't even know how we're doing on time. Let me look at this. Yeah, we're doing fine. We got plenty more to go too. This one has to do with a squirrel, ladies and gentlemen, so this should be interesting. I am going to blow up this font though. It's just dinky. Okay, this should be better. All right. I know I have angels at my side, and I've been so close to death a few times. For instance, I was driving down the road approaching a major intersection. The light was red, and I hadn't reached the stoplight yet before I got there. It turned green, and I said to myself, cool, I don't have to stop. I can just keep going. And that's when a squirrel ran out in front of me, and I slammed on the brakes. No one was in front or behind me, but I was intending to go through the intersection, and at the same time, a speeding car ran the red in the opposite direction. If that squirrel didn't run out in front of me, I would have been killed. The guy who ran the red light was going about 60 miles per hour. Maybe an angel threw a nut across the street for the squirrel and gave him a poke in the rear. Maybe the squirrel was the angel. Oh my God. Oh, by the way, I didn't hit the squirrel. He ran on his little hero way. Oh my God. Thank you, MCAT. That's huge, brother. Jesus. Wow. Amazing. Thank you, brother. That's absolutely brilliant and beautiful. It just humbled the hell out of me every time with that. You give so much too, and it's I don't know what to say. I don't know what words to give you, but it means the world, and thank you so much. That's just amazing. Wow. Oh, man. All right, so this one is angels and demons both exist. According to the Bible, there are twice as many angels as demons. They are all around us, and we are to judge over them in the future. Be sure to worship and give thanks to God for sending his angels to protect you. Okay. And I'm not disparaging that. That's fine. Maybe they're right. Maybe they're not. I don't know. But I don't know. That's a pretty solid viewpoint. Now it is right. There's apparently a third of the angels were cast out in the Great Rebellion. So therefore, 2/3 would still have been righteous and in the hands of God, but the other third were cast out as they were part of a rebellion in the traditional Christian and lore. But I don't know. Is that absolutely true? I don't know. It could be. But come to your own conclusions. I've been living a reckless life for quite some time. I've put myself in situations that most people would not have survived. As my life became more reckless and dangerous, my family told me something has to be watching you and protecting you. I had started to lose my faith until one night my mother came to my bedroom and told me, please change. Death is following you. I've never seen someone go through so much and live. Please change. After not praying for years, I laid in my bed and prayed, Lord, please send me a sign, anything. I just need help because my luck is running out. And for my sake and my family's sake, help me, please. So no sign came. That is, until I started to doze off and awoke in a state that I can't explain. I couldn't move. I opened my eyes and above my bed was a light, and it was the brightest, most beautiful light I have ever seen. It was pulsating and glowing white, and it was so bright, it lit my room up, and then it was gone. And I know it was an angel sent from God. Oh, that's wonderful. Very good. Next story. During a very rough time last week, my daughter and I went to the mall. At the bottom of the escalator, a lady approached, and she started a conversation, and she asked me a lot about where I was from. And then she told me that this rough time would pass, and that the girls at school were jealous of my daughter, and that she just needs to hold her head up high and to not respond. Wow. How does she know there was a a showdown at her school the day before? She also said that my daughter will have to have her pick of colleges to choose from. She's a straight A student since kindergarten and is now in the 10th grade. She also looked deep into my eyes and told me that she knew I had been to hell and back, but this will all make me stronger. Before we left, she said that she sees 6 angels around my daughter and 6 around me. We aren't alone. Oh, she also reminded me to keep surrounding myself and my daughter with protection, and that it all works. Do I surround myself and my daughter with the white light every day? How did she know? Wow. I was the manager of a radio broadcast station, and I worked the morning show, in which I had to wake every morning at about 3 a.m. to get all my prep together by 5, which was airtime, and the night before. I abruptly woke up at 1 or 11 p.m. I had been sound asleep by 9:30 p.m., yet felt I had to call the radio station urgently. I was initially disoriented, yet driven. I was barking orders to my equally sound asleep husband, who responded beautifully to my orders. I asked my husband to get on the cell phone and get ready to call 911. Then I called the station. The talent on air informed me that there was a stranger in the studio with a gun. I signaled my husband to call 911 while I asked to speak with the stranger, who was highly agitated. I was able to talk to the man who threatened my friend, my staff member, and engaged him until the sheriff officer had arrived and my staff member was saved. There's no other explanation other than an angel informed me of the danger and guided me through handling it. Wow. What a terrifying situation, huh? Oof. All right. The other night I came to stay for Christmas holidays with my dad and brother. My brother sometimes is a person I still don't get along with, even though we are adults. He keeps to himself and seems to ignore me most of the time, and I feel very sad about this every time I visit my family. He's not nice to my mom at all, who lives separate from him and my dad. On the first night I was there, I held back tears as we ate supper, played cards with my dad, and I could have talked with my dad about it, but I didn't know how to put it into words. That night I cried, and when I went to bed, and in the middle of the night, I woke up to see a woman in a black and orange dress sitting beside my bed. She never said anything, just sat in silence, and after a while, I fell back to sleep. And in the morning, I felt refreshed, like I'd been talking with a good friend. Huh, well, I guess that was it. It was just a calming presence. I was taking my 3-year-old daughter to daycare, and I'd left the house and traveled 2 blocks when I came to a major intersection that was being widened. I was the first car at the light, and my daughter was in her child seat in the back or in the front. The light turned green as I readied to go through the intersection. Loud and clear, I heard the words, "Don't go." It was so clear that I thought someone was in my back seat. I checked the rearview mirror and there was no one, and at that point I thought, oh, I'm holding up traffic, and started to proceed through the intersection, and then a dump truck full of hot asphalt ran the red light. And I was told that if I hadn't delayed, the impact of the dump truck would have killed us. And if not, the hot asphalt would have burned us to death. I always thought it was my daughter's angel. Years later, I spoke to a psychic, and she said the angel was mine, and that I had 3, 1 strong woman and 2 men. The psychic said, the men that help you do things around here. And I thank them a lot. I'm sorry, this font is really, really screwed up. It's on a white background, but it's gray font. So I'm sometimes having a struggle picking apart the words. It's a real tight font too, so it really sucks. So I'm trying to read it as well as I can. Excuse me. But where are we at? 53. We got time for a couple more here. Years ago, I was out with my 2 good friends, and we were walking around this big shopping center. Over an hour, we hung around the perfume section, looking for the right smell, and so in the end, we were quite dazed. Coming out of the main entrance right ahead was a huge crossroads. All the lights were green, but just before the big crossroad, there was a little crossing with no lights. At that moment, just behind a corner, a bus was coming, driving very fast, and it was only a split second from where I was taking steps to the next when I heard the bus sirens. I felt strong hands on my shoulder pulling me back to the pavement. Also, I saw the bus going just inches from my nose, passing very fast. The friends were behind me, but none of them could remember grabbing me. They were stunned and admitted they just stood there watching when an angel saved me. Thank you, my guardian angel. That's a cool story. So this one is another one. One more, I guess we'll go through. I remember when I was very little. I don't remember what age, but my mom said my mom and I were on an airplane, and I looked out, and I saw clouds shaped like Jesus with angels. The angels looked like they were babies, like Cupid with a diaper-like thing, and with no shorts. They looked so young in the middle. I saw Jesus with long hair, like I always see in the pictures. And I think I only saw his hands and arms and head, pointed to my mom, and she said, it does look like it, but didn't really look that much. Occasionally I ask her if she remembers that day, and sometimes she says yes, and sometimes she says no. Sometimes I think I was just dreaming, but somehow I know it's real. That's cool. Whatever that means to this person, that's really cool. Let's see. 55. We'll do one more. This one is, I was in a bad place in my life, and I was having terrible problems with my 22-year-old son. I was literally at the end of my rope, and one night on my way home, I was alone in the car, and I started praying out loud, "Dear God, please send someone to help me. Let me see angels as a sign that things will get better. I'm so lost and in such despair. Please send me an angel to help me." Well, nothing happened, and I was about 5 minutes from home when I received a text message from my best friend. The message read, 8 angels have been sent to help you. And that was it, the whole message. Confused, I called my best friend and asked her if she had sent it to me, and she said she received it about 15 minutes prior, around the time I was praying, from her son, who, when questioned, said he never sent it at all. She saw it and thought to send it to me. After that message, things took an upswing for my son. He is alive and thriving. I know in my heart these angels are with me and with him too. Very cool. Well, once again, MCAT, thank you so much. That is such a huge thing and goes so far to help keep the portal open. So I'm just amazed and humbled, and I can't thank you enough for that. That is just cool. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up here for the show. I'm sorry for the interruption with the minion, but I got to be a dad first. So as much as I love the show, and I do love this show, and I love being here with you guys are family too, but I just got to be there with the minion. So, and he's doing better. I can hear him playing finally. So thank God. It's tough to watch him suffer. It's tough to watch him go through stuff, and they're too little to really understand, and they don't know what to do about it except cry, and it just breaks your heart. And there's only so much you can do as a parent, but I don't know. We'll get through it. But thank you all for your love and compassion, for your kindness, warmth, and caring. It really does mean the world to me. And I just want you to know I love you guys very much. Thank you so much for being here. So as you go out in the next day, tonight, later on, tomorrow, whenever, just remember, be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day and laugh as much as you can. All right, guys, I love you. Have a great night and sweet dreams.